He put the near you guys since you guys are already kind of potted. So Fran, can we?
It takes a while.
I can.
We have like.
I can feel it. I can feel it right here.
No, I just need to keep stuff buckled up.
Me too.
Challenges.
But if you switch your state, I don't know, stand back there, we can see like that.
Guys, that's why I got trained here. I feel it. Right here.
She's here, but.
She's here, but they go every time, like, they whoever takes them. But I just have to wait for. I don't know.
We went in, get a car, and they told us. I said, no, I want her. So I gave her my dress, and then the rest of it, just give her, it's gonna be the glasses. It's white in here. What's that? I did.
Unmute. Ooh. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get the slideshow on the road. There should be. I don't know.
Has everything going? Not really sure. We're showing the slideshow.
Can you see it?
Can you see it? Do you want to go ahead?
Let's see here. Sorry. Where's the Zoom?
How did you do that? I Just click X.
First door on the right is the restroom. It says it's out of order. It's not out of order for us. So please use that one. So that cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. Cause you're a sky full of stars. What we're doing is not a performance, it's a ritual. So, if it's uneven and how we go, that's fine. Just pay attention and follow along. I do ask you to keep your mask on, keep distance, because that's a protocol we're still. Yes, please.
Are the flowers in the screen?
Let me think. Anything else? Oh, after we're done. So our custom is that you're going to get this our candy Isaac and I here. But after we're done, the name of this class will be ready for us to come off. So we're gonna all file out, but Isaac and Anna go last, so we'll go out there and go candy and then we'll roll. Okay.
Hold on, we gotta get the candy.
We gotta get the candy. All right. Alex, you got your notebook? Where's your notebook? Yeah, that's it. To Matthew, please. It's under. It's underneath here. Okay. All right. Still what are you good? Let's get us in the mood, David.
Yeah, la 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 la
Good morning, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Thank you. Welcome to Temple Micah, whether you are here with us virtually or actually. Well, you're all here, actually here, physically, I should say. I'm Rabbi Adam Morris. You just heard David Ross, on behalf, who's our musician in residence this morning. On behalf of us, welcome as we
come to celebrate Shabbat and to celebrate with Isaac and Anna as they
Good
become
morning, everyone,
our bat mitzvah. And
welcome.
no matter how you're joining us, I want you to all to feel part of our Kihila, our community this morning. And the way you do that is to, well, show up and be here and be present and participate. So those of you at home, make sure you have access to our PDF of our service. Everyone has here our prayer book. You know, Isaac and Anna have prepped this morning to lead us in our prayers. They're not performing for us. They're here to create this sense of community, this sacred space. So how you honor them is to participate yourselves. And whether you're familiar with what we do Jewishly not, or what we do Temple Micah or not, it doesn't matter. Come and participate. Take advantage of this time as a prayerful and reflective time. Now we're going to follow through in our service as they guide us. There's prayers that we sing. There's meditations that we do. And please participate. Sing with us. Doesn't matter if you know the Hebrew or not. You can hum along. You can lie. You can follow along in the transliteration. But in addition to that, use that framework of our tradition, the spirit of our community, to take some time to be prayerful and reflective, to be grateful and appreciative for your blessings, to get some perspective of the things that challenge you personally or globally in our world. Take this time to be centered and grounded. Do that in your own way, in own fashion. That's how you're going to honor our two B'nai Mitzvah this morning. So, well, let's stop talking about it. Let's get to it. If you turn to page 70 of your prayer books, not sure you have that on your PDF out there, but be easy to follow along. We sing the ancient words of Psalms, Hinei Ma Tov, how good it is to be together. Hinei Ma Tov U'Manayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. 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 Ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei 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 Ma Tov U'Manayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Now it's my pleasure and privilege to invite our B'nai Mitzvah, Isaac and Anna, to come and lead us in our service this morning. They'll start by putting on their talitot, which were presented to them officially and formally last night by their grandma.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Please continue with me on page 77. Don't let me fall as a stone upon the hard ground, and don't let my hands become dry as the twigs of a tree. When the wind beats down the last leaves, and when the storm raises dust from the earth with anger, don't let me fall. I've asked for so much, but as blade of your grass in the distant mild field, let's drop a seed in the lap of an earth and dies away. Sow in your living breath as you sow a seed in the earth. Baruch atah Adonai ro'ofeh kol basar u'mafli la'asot. Please continue with me on page 79. My soul came to me pure, drawn from the reservoir of the holy. All the time it remains with me. I am thankful for its thirst, for compassion and justice. Let my eyes behold the beauty of all creatures. Let my hands know the privilege of righteous deeds. Baruch atah Adonai, asher bayodo nefesh kol hai, ruach kol basar ish. Please continue with me on page 80. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam,
Asher natan lesavivinam lehachim ben yom uben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rakath haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechi mitzadeh gaber. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten leach koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir sheina me'enai utnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani bat horim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvurav. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'gvurav.
Please continue with me on page 100. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, big old show. Hallelujah. continue with me on page 106. Itgada veitgada shemei vaba be'aman dibra hirte ve'amli malhute bahaye hom vyom hom uvaye dekol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvisman karmi vimaru amen. Yeheshme Rabba Mevora Le'olam Ulam Oimaya Yebara Ve'ishtaba V'yitpa'ar V'yitnamam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yithalem V'yithalal Shemei Kid Shaparehu Le'elam Machel Birchatav Shirata Tushbehata V'nef Emata Da'ami Iram Be'alma V'yimaru Amen. Please continue with me on page 108 and rise for the Barahu.
Please follow me to page 111. You are praised who rose out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of life. From nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much life reveals your presence, how much Torah unfolds with each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea. You are praised who forms from clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our life. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer Hamarot. Please follow me to page 113. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light blinded we saw. The inner and outer worlds are one. You are one. We spoke and we wrote. We reached down from you for the centuries. We were like moving before us. Rolled back and climbed again. Your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai haboher be'amod Yisrael be'ahava.
Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ad.
Shem
כבוד
Kavod
מלכותו לעולם ועד. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
Please continue to page 116 and be seated.
Be'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol lefnecha uv'kol nefshecha uv'kol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'elech asher anohi metzoheim hayom olevecha v'shinantam levavecha v'dibartam bam v'shiftaha b'veteha uvleftaha v'adere usheftaha uvkumeha ukshartam leot ayadeha v'hayu tafot bein einecha uktavtam al mezuzot beiteha ubishareha Laman tishkaru v'yasitem et kol mitzvotai v'achtem shin le'elohim ani Adonai Elohim asher hotei etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohim.
Please continue with me on page 123. And what is my lifespan? Like a man got out of Egypt. The Red Sea parts. I cross on dry land. 2 walls of water on my right and on my left. Pharaoh's army and his horsemen behind me. Before me the desert. Perhaps the promised land too. This is my lifespan. Please turn to page 124 and rise for the tefillah.
26.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Kovenei Hakol Vezoher Hastea Vovihimachot Uvnei Gulam L'nei B'neihem L'ma'a Shemo Be'ahava Mele Ozer Umashia Umagin Baruch atah Adonai Magen Abraham Barat Sahara
128.
Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mehaye Hakol Atah Rav L'Choshia Mehalkel Hayim Behesed Mehaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verafeh Holim Umatzir Ashurim Umachaye Emunatov Lishenei Afa Michamo Chabal Gevurot Umidomech La Melech Menim Umachaye Umatzir Ashura Bene'eman Atah Lechachayot Hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye Hakol.
מקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב ביד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, אלוהים כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, מלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Turn to 132 and be seated.
ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדור ברית עולם. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדור ברית עולם. ונצווין לישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדור ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת Vayom Hashvi, Shabbat Vayinafash, Shabbat Vayinafash, Shabbat Vayinafash, V'shamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, Lasot et HaShabbat, L'Torah Torah.
Please continue on your own to page 142.
Yiyu l'ratzon refi, Legion libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri vegoali, Yiyu l'ratzon refi, Legion libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri vegoali.
How's that son feeling?
That's great.
Very good. I'm happy for you. Thank you, Anna and Isaac, for doing such a great job of leading us up into this part of our prayers. We kind of have a natural transition. We're about to start the Torah service, which you take out the scroll that contains our sacred stories. And well, Isaac and Anna have plenty to do for that part, but that's the heart of our service, at least as far as the bar mitzvah ritual goes. Because when we actually give them the scroll and ask them to look into it, to read it, to chant it, to look through their eyes and hearts and tell us what they see in it, that's the closest thing to the adulting moment. Now, I'd like to make a disclaimer at this point in the service. You know, we talk about bar mitzvah, you become an adult, and maybe back in the day that was true, but it's just not true anymore. In our day and age, in 21st century United States, Jewish community, when you become 13, you're not an adult. You don't get to do the things that adults do, whether that's drink or vote. We wish you could vote. I probably would say this to anyone, but make sure you're voting, please. Vote. Thank you very much. I voted already, so there we go. Fran's putting on her vote mask, so we're all set. So Isaac and I aren't doing those things. They're not moving out, getting the keys to the car, and getting their own place. And even though that's not happening out in the world, we still do this because while those are moments of adulting, the reality is becoming an adult doesn't happen in a moment. There's not some magical moment and poof, that's it. It's actually a slow, long process that may have moments of drama. Oh, I can do this now, or I couldn't do that then. But it's really much deeper and much more complex than that. It's really about how we as human beings, physically and intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, slowly make that shift from being a child for whom the world and our parents and our families care for, to being individuals with whom we partner with other adults, well, to make the world the way we think it should be. And to be an adult is to mean to take on those responsibilities, those privileges, those challenges, those opportunities that it means to do that. And in our community, Jewishly, spiritually, we think that's so important. We think it's worth the time to ask you to put in all the work you have, to lead us this morning, and to give you the Torah, because we think, well, becoming an adult is what makes our world, well, what it can be, what it should be. And it is weighty and important and exciting and dramatic. So even though I can't give you the keys to a new car today, when we give you that Torah, it's so much more. And we're so excited to share it with you and share this journey and this process with you. And truth be told, this process, well, it started some 13 plus years ago when your mom and dad, when they started their family and then decided to bring you two into the world. And so before you have this moment, this symbolic moment of adulting in the Torah service, we think it's fair and appropriate that they get a chance to share with you what they're thinking and they're feeling this morning as you take this next step in this sacred journey of yours. So Keith and Fran, would you join Isaac and Anna up on the bima? And we'll all listen in as you share what's on your minds and your hearts this morning.
Good. Okay. You good? This is quite a time in the world to be a bat and bar mitzvah. Preparing for this day has been anything but conventional. You have experienced a full life lesson that many in your B'nai Mitzvah class have also shared. Yes, a life lesson of what is important, how to navigate disappointment, how to ask for help, how to give help in times of need, push limits, take risks, lean on your family, tell us, your mom and dad, that everything will be all right, laugh, cook, and work towards and hope for a better future. You are the last ones of this year's B'nai Mitzvah class, and it will be a year to remember. And today, here we are on a brisk and beautiful fall Colorado day, acknowledging and celebrating the beginning of your journey as a Jewish young adult in the world. It is certainly a moment of pause to take in with our friends and our family near and far, teachers over the years, all of your grandparents here, Nana Paula, Grammy and Grampy, Papa Harry and Vicky, and really the circumstances forcing us and reminding us of how rituals in our lives keep us connected to community, to our traditions as Jews, and at this moment in 2020 to find time to be joyful for life. I am so lucky to be your mama, and I'm proud of you today for so many reasons, including for not throwing in the towel for your B'nai Mitzvah. Studying and preparing in the midst of a global pandemic is not a relaxing walk in the woods. The fact that you persevered, and thank you, Risa, and continued, reflects something quite wonderful about your character. Anna and Isaac and Anna, the day I come home and told your dad that there were 2 little jelly beans and not one, was a surprise like no other. As the months grew and my belly became ginormous, naming was one of our first decisions. Anna, you are named after Papa Harry's grandmother, Anna, who I never met, but he loved a great deal, was a beautiful spirit, intellectually deep like you, and was ahead of her time as a woman in the world, just like you as well. Chana in Hebrew meaning full of grace. You light up a room with your laughter, and even at the ripe old age of 13, you live your convictions for what is right and ethical and moral in the world. You feel deeply and love deeply. You love your cats, your chameleon, your gerbils, your fish, your snake, and your chickens, and your friends. Your love of the natural world was evident at a very early age, and it continues to grow as your commitment has been to save our planet. Isaac, you are named after Nana Paula's grandfather, Isaac. Yitzhak, or he will laugh, which you love to do, especially with 13-year-old boy jokes. Older Isaac, Grandpa Isaac, was an orphan, a peddler who had to be independent at an early age. Nana Paula never met him either, but her dad, Papa Sam, said that he was a gentle soul and one who showed his love for his family. You are a really funny guy, a sensitive young man, someone who is a great listener and a good friend. You love to play any game, anytime, love to ski bumps, climb, and shine in the outdoors, and find peace in nature. I love that we still share regular snuggles, a shared interest in history and the moral issues of war, and that you are not afraid to tell your mom and dad that I love you. There is no doubt that you walk in the world as your own person, confident, focused, and full of life. You navigate living with two very strong sisters with a lot of patience. And even though you asked for a brother for many years, we at least had a wonderful year with Dan, who's here over there in Brazil, who inspired you to possibly be an exchange student as well. We rarely call you twins. We never dressed you alike. We even gave you different last names. And even though you are both deeply into your teen angst years and sibling angst, there is still such a strong bond that the two of you share. In fact, one of you said to me just the other day that one thing that is great about being a twin is that when you go to a party, you always have a friend. I hope you both will feel that and live that for the rest of your lives. And as much as this is a B'nai Mitzvah, it's also a Bat and Bar Mitzvah. And I hope each of you recognize your own path on this journey. You are certainly individuals, and this ceremony is both a reflection of your connection to one another and your own path. The Torah portion that chose you, Anna, is also a mirror. Anna, with your compassion for the planet and the need to protect all things furry or scaled, and Isaac with a keen eye to examining power and relationships with God, with families, and amongst nations. So take a moment, feel our love, and all of the people online. There are people celebrating with you here as well, and us in every time zone who have seen you grow up, skied with you, camped with you, traveled with you, eaten many meals with you, loved you, and contributed to who you are in the world. I am in awe of the power that life offers right at this moment. And this is because of you both and Sonia. Thank you for being my children and for teaching me to be a better human being. I love you with abundance. Mwah.
I should always know better than to follow your mom. After all these years, it's something I should have learned. But one of my first thoughts about welcoming you came even before you were born. I was sitting in an airport on a work trip, watching a dad try to navigate his toddler twins. One child looked at his dad, looked at his twin brother. They smiled and took off in different directions. I knew then that having two of you would present a joyful chaos. Given your energies and passions, it has been that and so much more. I know that Mom shared similar thoughts with you, but I want to acknowledge how different this is from what you had hoped for as a celebration and a passage. The cousins, as you sometimes call them, Mom's family from, well, almost everywhere, are not here in Denver. Many of your uncles and aunts were not able to travel to be here. There won't be a celebration with all of your friends later today. I'm deeply proud of the flexibility that each of you has shown in working through all of the challenges that this year has presented. But I also want you to think about this. While those people are not physically present with you in Denver, they are with you, joining you from Massachusetts and Texas, Connecticut, Brazil, and many other places. They are your community, and like today, they will be there for you. But you are also a smaller community of two. And I hope that as you grow, you continue to foster and share the memories and lean on each other when you need it. When I first heard about your Torah portions, I almost laughed. Of course, Anna has a portion about protecting animals, and Isaac found his way to one about the power of words. Perhaps Torah portions are like wands in Harry Potter. They pick the person. Isaac, you love words and the way that you can use them to great effect to get your ends. But what many don't know is how much those words have allowed you to become a storyteller and to share your imagination. Being able to build new identities, inhabit strange, magical worlds as freely as you do is a rare gift. It's wonderful to watch. Anna, I remember one of the first big disagreements we all had when I was teaching you three to play Dungeons and Dragons. I think maybe you were 10, and your brother and sister will remember this. You wanted to protect that poor little goblin and save his life instead of slaying him. You just could not accept that violence had to be the answer. That compassion for creatures that need care, whether imaginary or real, including the 8 that now live in our house, is part of who you are becoming and is part of what drove you to participate in the climate training this summer. I know that I don't say this often enough, but I am proud of each of you. I wanted to share just one little story of each of who you are. Isaac, I don't know that you remember this, but the first time we skied off the top of Breckenridge, you were very young, maybe 7 or 8.
Yes.
You really wanted to go up there. So we did. As we rode up the lift, a storm blew in, and despite the wind and cold and clouds, you ripped down the catwalk, gleefully hopped off a cornice, and dropped into deeper snow. When I took you and Mom up there a couple runs later, well, today isn't the day to share the words that she shared with me. But what I remember is your laughter. You were having fun. I think that's always been you, willing to take on adventure and laugh at just the right moment as things were getting tense. But also confident in yourself, knowing where you're comfortable and exactly how hard to push yourself and to push others. You're a confident young man, but also compassionate and thoughtful of what others need. I saw what you can give others when I got to share a school camping trip with you. It was a joy to watch you help others navigate their nervousness in the woods and their concerns about what to do and how to do it in setting up a tent or trying to learn how to belay, just being in the outdoors. Anna, those who know you well know that you don't lack for confidence. I could share many stories about the times your mom and I or others have looked around and had to wonder where you were because your confidence had taken you a little bit farther than we were comfortable with. Keep that confidence as you grow. I don't know where it will take you, but I'm sure it will take you to exciting places. Today, I want to share a little bit different story that's a glimpse into your spirit. Like the one I shared with Isaac, it comes from a time when you were much younger, but is true of who you remain. One morning early in grade school, as I was trying to make coffee, you came downstairs and asked me where water came from. Being me, I explained H2O and the water cycle and all of that. You took it all in, stopped, looked at me and said, yeah, but where do molecules come from? All I could think is we'd gone from doing chemistry to metaphysics and I still hadn't gotten a cup of coffee. You're always looking for challenging answers, asking the hard questions. As you grow, I hope you don't stop asking for those answers to those hard questions. It might not always be easy, but asking those kinds of questions will help you and those around you grow. The stories you carry from your adventures, whether climbing, skiing, or traveling, contain seeds of lessons that you are learning. Those stories and those lessons will serve you well. Perhaps my stories didn't show it, but I am proud of how each of you has learned to recognize risk, to judge how you are comfortable with it, and to keep going. I am struck by how you're able to see what's right in others and to step back. Perhaps just as important, those adventures are showing you other stories and giving you a perspective that is growing into compassion. I want to leave you with this. Keep challenging yourself to be a better you, but learn to be kind to yourself. Keep your compassion and let it lead you to take care of others.
Now we're ready to start our Torah service. You can find the words that we sing on page 244. Elohim Adonai, v'yein k'ma'asecha, utecha malchut k'olamim, umemshaltecha b'chol dor v'hador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch, va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yiteh, Adonai Yivarech et amo v'shalom. Would you all rise, please?
Arachamim, etiva v'rtzoncha, et Zion. Tibnei chomot Yerushalayim, Yivecha levat taflu, Melech haram v'nisa Adon olam.
Mitzion tetzei Torah. Mitzion tetzei Torah. Ulevar Adonai Yerushalayim. We now turn to these words that express what we're experiencing now. As Fran and Keith hold the scrolls and represent the generations, the Dorot that come before, and we pass these scrolls, these stories, and all they mean, Lador Vador, from generation to generation.
We are gifts, we are blessings, we are history in song. We are hope, we are healing, we are learning to be strong. We are words, we are stories, we are pictures of the past. We are carriers of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Torvador nagikod lecha. Torvador, we protect this chain. Generation to generation. Torvador, his lips will praise your name. Torvador, his lips will praise your name.
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Adonai Hagedula v'Hagevura v'Hatiferet v'Hanetzach v'Hamon. Kicho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, Kicho b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Adonai amar lacha ve'amita hosei lechol erosh. Shlosha devarim, Shlosha devarim,
Shlosha
devarim, ha'olam, ha'olam omer. Shlosha devarim, Shlosha devarim, Shlosha devarim, ha'olam, ha'olam omer. Al Torah.
V'al gemilut chasadim, al haTorah, v'al avodah, v'al gemilut chasadim.
Sorry. Torah is the book of writings and stories that the Jews read every week at Shabbat. The Torah has 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. We read these 5 books throughout the year, then it starts over after the Jewish New Year, or Rosh Hashanah. I think that Torah is a sacred book of stories in which we find peace and calmness. Also, it has been passed down from generation to generation. It is the story where a major religion was created, and it also gives us rules to follow and is a creation story of a people.
The portion that was given to me to share with you today is the story of Noah and the ark. Noah is the Hebrew name for Noah, which many of you know him as. Noah is one of the stories in Genesis. These stories help to show us lessons and show us what life was perceived as before the creation of the Jewish people. In this part of the stories of Genesis, God decides that the human race has polluted the world, so he wipes them out. Noah loaded all the animals onto an ark so they could redo life on earth. This teaches us that our wrongdoings can lead to big consequences. The reason I chose this portion was that the story has been told so many different times. It has many different interpretations. I wanted to see and show people the original raw lesson of the story, which I think is that our actions have consequences, and the righteous will leave and save those who are not.
I'll be reading from the first book, Genesis. In this portion includes the creation story, the story of Noah and Abe and Sarah. The portion that I am reading from is the portion called Noah. I'll be reading from the first part of the portion, after the flood, but before the creation of Jews and Abe and Sarah. In what I read, the people of Babel came together and started to build a tower to the heavens to show that they are equal to God. When God saw that they were building the tower and it was getting too close to the heavens, God scattered them all over the face of the earth. That is why it is called Babel, because it is where God confused the language of the whole earth.
So as Anna reads from the first part of Noah, Isaac, you can go sit down. We have the honor of Gabbai this morning, who is presiding over the reading. I'd like to invite Risa Aqua, who has also been working with Isaac and Anna, as Fran mentioned, to get ready for today. The honor of blessing the first reading belongs to Sister Sonia and Dan. How do you say Dan? Oh, first one you missed. I mixed it up. Sorry. First one's Fran and Keith. I'm sorry. I said that. First, we got Fran and Keith to bless this first reading. Thank you. Ya'amdu fruma bat tzvi upnina b'Caleb ben Avraham b'Sarah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Amen. Vayarach Adonai et Reach HaNichoah. Vayomer Adonai Eli Bom. Lo osif לקלל עוד אחד מה בעבור האדם כי יצר לב האדם רע מנעוריו ולא אוסיף עוד להכות את כל כאשר עשיתי עוד כל ימי הארץ זרע בקציר בכוח לחום וקיץ בחומרת ביום ולילה לא ישבתו ויברך אלוהים את נוח ואת בניו ויאמר להם פרו ורבו ומילאו את הארץ.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. In the honor of reading the translation of what Anna just chanted, I'd like to invite Scott and Donna, Grandma and Grammy and Grandma.
I'd like to preface this by saying how honored we are to participate in this momentous event for Isaac and Anna, and how proud we are of them and Sonia, as well as Keith and Fran. And also thank the rabbi for inviting us and welcoming us to Temple Micah. The Lord smelled the pleasing odor, and the Lord said to himself, "Never again will I doom the earth because of man, since the devising of man's mind are evil from his youth, nor will I ever again destroy every living being as I have done."
So long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall never not cease.
God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fertile
and
increase and fill the earth."
Baruch atah. Oh, what? Sorry.
He's got to call you first.
Can I invite you?
Sure.
I love you. I love you. I'd like to invite our bat mitzvah to bless this next week. Ta'amod Chana bat Kelev Fruma bat mitzvah.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Umra'achem v'chitchem yiyem al kol hayat ha'aretz ve'al kol of hashemayim b'chol asher tirmos ha'adamah b'chol degei hayam b'yadhen nitanu kol remes asher hu chai lachem yiyem le'ochla kol yeref esef natati lachem et kol ach basar v'nafsho damod lo tohelu ve'ach et dimchem l'mashotechem et rosh miad kol hayat et roshenu miad ish afit et rot et nefesh ha'adam. Sofech dam ha'adam ba'adam damo yishafeh ki betzelem Elohim hasa et ha'adam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
The honor of translating, the reading of translation for this portion via Zoom belongs to Lauren Sterling.
Good morning.
Morning.
The fear and dread of you shall be upon all the beasts of the earth and upon all the birds of the sky. everything with which the earth is astir, and upon all the fish of the sea they are given into your hand. Every creature that lives shall be yours to eat, as with the green grasses I give you all these. You must not, however, eat flesh with its lifeblood in it. But for your own lifeblood, I will require a reckoning. I will require it of every beast of man too. Will I require a reckoning for human life, for every man for that of his fellow man.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks, Lolo.
Thanks, Lolo.
You're welcome.
As we call our bar mitzvah to read, now we get to invite Sonia, who is here with us physically, and Dan Kukerman, who is with us from Brazil virtually. Sonia will be doing the blessing beforehand, and Dan will be doing the blessing after. We invite them to bless. Na'amdu Shira Adar Bat Caleb Fruma Daniel Ben Yitzchak Tamar.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayhi chol haaretz safan achat udvarim achadim. Vayhi benosam mikedem v'imseu vik'ah be'eretz chinar vayeshvu sham vayomeru ish el re'ehu hava nivne lan no bana levenim v'nisrefa Lisrefa, Vahi Lahem, Holvena, Leaven, Ve'achmar, Haya Lahem, Lahomer, Vayomeru, Hava, wait, I'm separate. Nivnelanu Ir, Umigdal, Rosham, Veshamayim, Vena'aselanu, Sham, Penafut, Opene, Kol haaretz, va'yeved Adonai, lir'ot et ha'ir ve'et hamigdal, asher banu b'nei ha'adam.
Dan?
ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם ואתה בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
Any honor for reading the translation for this reading? We invite Vicky Stewart. Oh, yeah, Ricky and Harry.
Oh. Like right there. Oh. He's
Oh my goodness. What a world we're Let's see him?
You might want to put this one.
Actually.
There you go. Oh. Wait.
The whole earth was of one language and of common purpose. And it came to pass, when they migrated from the east, and they found a valley in the land of Shinar and settled there. They said to one another, come, let us make bricks and burn them in fire. And the bricks served them as stone, and the bitumen served them as mortar. And they said, come, let us build.
Come, let us build. Oops. Come, let us.
Build us a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed across the whole earth. Hashem descended to look at the city and tower which the sons of man built.
Okay. Good. We are back.
And to bless our fourth and final reading, we invite our bar mitzvah. Mom and Dad will join him to witness this aliyah of his. Ya'amod Yitzchak ben Caleb Fruma bar mitzvah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvara.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Vayomer Adonai Otam Echad V'Safa Achad L'Kulam V'Sech Ha'ilam La'asot Lahem V'Atah Yubatzer Mehem Kol Asher Yazmu La'asot Hava Nir Dam V'Navla Sham Sefatam Asher Lo Yishmeu Ishafat Re'ehu Vayafet Adonai Otam Misham Alpene Chol Haaretz Vayachdelu Livnot Ha'ir Ha'ir Kol Shama Al Kain Kara Shama Bavel Kisham Balal Adonai Sefat Hol wait Adonai Sefat Hol Aretz Venisham Hefitsam Adonai Al Panei Hol Haaretz. I really messed up. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'Eloheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
The honor for reading the translation of this final aliyah belongs to Stephanie Pappas, who joins us via Zoom.
Good morning. And Hashem said, behold, they are one people with one language for all. And this they begin to do. Come, let us descend, and their confusion, their language, and they shall not understand one another's language. And Hashem dispersed them from there over the face of the whole earth. And they stopped building the city. That is why it is called Babel, because it is there that Hashem confused the language of the whole earth. And from there, Hashem scattered them over the face of the whole earth. Mazel tov to Anna and Isaac.
Thank you. Now to give you a look at Noach, the portion that Anna and Isaac chanted from so beautifully. Would you all please rise? It's my honor to raise the Torah and show it to you. Al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe El goy terev lo yimodu od milchama lo yisagoy el goy terev lo yimodu od milchama lo yisagoy el goy terev lo yimodu od milchama lo yisagoy el goy terev lo yimodu od milchama. Sit everybody down and Haftorah.
Haftorah is a series of readings from the section of Tanakh called Nevi'im. Haftorah follows the Torah portion. The reading of Haftorah is common in all synagogues around the world and is read after the Torah portions and on the Sabbath and Jewish holidays. The origin of Haftorah is lost to history, but one theory is it dates back to the time of the Maccabees, where King Antiochus banned the reading of the 5 books of Moses, but he did not ban Ketuvim or Nevi'im, the other sections of Tanakh. They substituted the wisdom of Torah, the sections of Torah for Tanakh. In Micah, we do it differently, though. The B'nai Mitzvah gets to choose the Haftorahs, so we get more meaning from it. We look into Ketuvim to find our Haftorah portion. This allows us to get a deeper meaning from our Haftorah.
I am reading from the book of Ecclesiastes called Kohelet in Hebrew. The book is a collection of many pieces of short wisdom written by many people, even though the book claims it was written by King Solomon. I think that whoever wrote these pieces of wisdom liked King Solomon or looked up to him because of how smart he was. The reason I chose these particular pieces of wisdom is because they are mostly connected to nature. Personally, I love nature and the outdoors. I like spending time in them, looking at their hidden beauty and looking at the animals. One of the parts of the Haftorah is the sun rises and the sun sets, and hurries to its place, it rises there again. I chose that piece because I liked how it shows nature and how simple things can be, yet fascinating and so on, and beautiful all at the same time.
I chose my verses from the book of Proverbs. Proverbs are an important part of Jewish culture. They are small pieces of wisdom. Proverbs can give you advice on all different pieces of your life, such as how to dress or who to hang out with. Proverbs tell us about the obstacles in our journey through life and how to overcome them. The Proverbs that I chose really spoke to me because they talk about the evil in all of us and the power evil has to worm its way into all of our hearts. One of the Proverbs that I chose was, "For their feet run to evil, they make haste to shed blood." This is one of the examples of the small piece of wisdom. This one describes that when you become more evil, your mercy and value for human life fades. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'vi'im tovim v'ratza v'divrechem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdod uv'Yisrael amod uv'Viviei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Dor chale v'dor ba ve'aretz le'olam almadet. וזרע השמש ובא השמש ואל מקומו שואף זורע ושם אל הנחלים חולהים אל היום והיום איננו מעלה אל מקומו שהנחלים חולהים שם הם שווים ללהט מעוות לא יוכל לתקון והסרון לא יוכל להימנות כי ברוב חכמן רב כועס וירס דעת יוסיף מכאוב
בני התלך בדרך איתם מנע רגליך מטבעתם כי רגליהם לרע ירוצות במהרוך לכפשתם כי הנה מזרע הרשע בני כל בעל כנף והם לדמם יערבו יצפנו לנשותם כן ארחוד כל בוצע בצע את נפש בעלה ייקח Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sor kol haolamim sadik behol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber chayeh shekol devara mevad zedek all haTorah, all the Ve'al Havodah, Ve'al Hanvi'im, Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh, Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Likdusha ve'limnucha, Lechavot utifaret, all hakol, Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu modim la, Umvarhim ota, Yitbarashim habefi kol hai tamid leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
The honor for reading the translation of the Haftorah portions belongs to Linda Cohen.
Anna's is first. My son, walk not thou in the way with them, restrain thy foot from their path. For their feet run to evil, they make haste to shed blood. For in vain the net is spread in the eyes of any bird, and these lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain. It taketh away the life of the owners thereof. And Isaac's, a generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. Also the sun rises and the sun sets, and hastening to its place, it rises there again. All the rivers flow into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place where the rivers flow, there they flow again. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief.
Now we're ready to return our Torah scroll to the Ark. Before we do, we have a custom that's part of our community that each bar bat mitzvah once they complete the task of reading from the Torah scroll, that they take the yod that was part of the custom of reading Torah, this yod here, and they pass it to the person who comes next. And they also choose a quote that lives on with the yod and becomes part of the yod's legacy, just like they are part of our community's legacy. So at this day and age, unfortunately, Talia Nasi, who becomes a bat mitzvah in a couple weeks, cannot be here to receive the yod. This is her talit that she will be donning in a couple weeks as she becomes bat mitzvah. So it is here representing her. And there's her beautiful talit here, as you can see. And so Anna and Isaac are going to share their quotes and pass that yod to Talit, to Talia symbolically before we return the scroll to the ark. So guys, here's your quotes.
I don't know who my quote's by, but it's life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
My quote is famous. A lot of you know. Do or do not. There is no try. So,
Who said that?
Yoda.
All right, so you guys take your quotes and Talia's talit, put them in the yod box. We turn to page 256. Please rise as we return the scroll to the ark.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's beautiful.
Ashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh
I'm going to tell you a story. This is a story of a simple can. It spent the first part of its life in a factory. When it got out of the factory, it was shipped to a house just like any other. It sat on the shelf for days until someone picked it up. It was a kid with his friends, so they drank their drinks and finished them. He did not throw it away in the trash a block away. He just dropped it there and left. Now to him, there's nothing wrong with this. But after he'd leave, the wind picks up and blows the can into the street. Eventually it'll rain and the can will wash into a river. It'll slowly start to make its way to the ocean. If it's not eaten by an animal there, it'll slowly start to deteriorate until it's not a tiny piece of metal. Now it might get eaten and it could possibly kill this animal, but this can will stay on the earth long after the boy is dead. Each and every one of us has an obligation to each other in the very world we live in. If you look out, you can see the massive global problem of climate change that will affect every one of us, especially the younger portion. We all need to focus on a solution together. Now, everyone's part looks different because climate reaches every part of us and the world. Every single action is important. If you're not part of the solution, then you're part of a problem. That's a common phrase in the climate community. I think it means that every single one of us is doing at least one little thing to help, and if you're not, then you truly are part of the problem. Now, for us to get anything done, we need to do a little more than a little. Now, what we can do looks different for everyone. I think we can learn from each other about how to take care of our earth. Each and every one of us is connected in an obligation to our earth, our friends, our family, and the complete stranger walking down the street. Climate change is a major problem. It's affecting many of us today, and we can learn some of this wisdom from the Torah. The story of Noah and the ark goes that God sees the world has become lawless and corrupt, and tells Noah he will bring a flood onto the world and wipe them out. He then commands Noah to build an ark and brings a male and female of each species in the world onto it. Noah does as God commands and loads all the animals onto the ark. It then rains for 40 days and 40 nights. My interpretation of this is that God gave up on the humans and believed they had become polluted with corruption and lies. What we are doing to our planet now is so much worse than many of us are aware of. Climate change will have a major impact on our lives and is already. There are many different opportunities in our own life to help this major problem. One really good and easy one is composting. Many of us living in Denver are lucky enough to have yards and some of us gardens. One really good way to help them is composting. You can also get a City of Denver composting bin. Another super easy one is to buy LED bulbs. They require tons of less energy and last longer than other bulbs. The last really easy one I have is to commute to work by bus or bike. This greatly reduces our carbon footprint in a day. Now these solutions are really easy, but there's also many more expensive solutions, such as choosing to put solar panels on your house or buy an electric or hybrid car. Now many of these solutions are not possible for us. Being a climate activist can look like so many different things. It can be writing legislation or managing finances. It can be racial and social justice work. Now it's our right, our job, and our obligation as humans to do our part. I was lucky enough this year to take part in a 2-week climate training session led by Vice President Al Gore. I loved it so much, and I'm so happy that I was able to have this experience in my life. During this training, we learned how to talk about climate change in a productive way. Many times we struggle to see anyone else's opinions as anything but wrong. During this training, we tried to change that. We talked at length about the impacts and causes of our current climate crisis. We spent so much of our time learning about the different and current solutions. One of the other main goals of the training was to help us start and mediate our own conversations about climate. One of the main reasons I wanted to do this training session was my parents took me and my siblings around the world, but many of you already know this though. One incredible place we got to go was the Great Barrier Reef. Much of the coral there was bleached though. As I grew older and started to study why this happened, it started to worry me more. I want to make sure that the man-made and natural wonders of the world, such as the reef, are there for my generations and the one after us. I started off by telling you about a can. To finish the story of the can, many people would have walked by it without noticing it. Most people wouldn't even notice, and almost everyone would probably not pick it up. Now you could say that it's the boys' fault and that these people don't have to pick it up. Now you're partially right. We need to stop the can from ever getting in the street. But if it's there in the first place, it's every single one of our responsibilities to pick it up.
I want to tell you about when my family went around the world in 2017. We were able to experience snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef, going on safari, and being at a night market in Bangkok. Along the way, we did have some breakdowns. One of the most memorable ones was forgetting our passports in an apartment in Greece. The trip taught me amazing lessons. It opened my eyes to how other people live and what they're going through. My family and I learned about what happened in Soweto during apartheid. In Thailand, we learned about training elephants and the terrible things trainers do to elephants that you see in circuses and that people ride. They tie ropes to them and tie them in place and slowly break their spirit and their emotion, which I personally think should be illegal. That part was dark and sad. We also talked to many different people, stayed in many different kinds of houses, ate all different kinds of food, learned about other religions, and just absorbed how other people lived and survived. These different experiences changed me and taught me many lessons. As special as it all was, there was no doubt in my mind that it was more special because we experienced it together. I never would have learned these things if I did this trip by myself. Sharing these things with these important people made everything I experienced better. I really cannot start to explain what it meant to be able to do this trip. But if you haven't figured it out yet, I loved it, and my family was the most important part. Family is important because they are the people that know us best and can support us the most. When we need help or are feeling down, family will help us recover. Family will help us recover from, or sometimes help us do what we need to do. Being part of family doesn't always mean helping each other. Sometimes family argue and fight, and sometimes families laugh and are having a lot of fun together. The pandemic has made us more aware of how important family is to all of us. It is hard because people have lost jobs and people have lost family members. It is hard because families have been stuck with each other for long periods of time, almost all day, every day. Still, we try to be supportive and not fight as often because we need that strength and show of support. The Torah portion that I am reading is how the city of Babel came together and tried to build a tower for God, but got scattered across the earth. The people of Babel had to work like a family when they were building. They needed each other for help and counted on one another to be there. They depended on each other because they were building something this powerful and needed each other to build this tower to the heavens. They discovered the best of what family could be, but then something changed. When they saw what they could do together and how much power they had, it clouded what they wanted to do. They started to change course, and they were trying to build a tower to be equal, more powerful than God. When God saw this, God scattered them over the face of the earth and confused their language, so they could not build something like this again. Just like my family traveling around the world, we had to work together to get places and work together to get things done when they were needed. Unlike the people of Babel, we did not forget our goal, and we were able to see the things we saw, help each other and support one another, and make sure the trip went well and we all had fun. We can all make our family stronger by supporting one another and trusting each other. It can sometimes be hard, but if we trust and respect one another, it will most likely result in a positive relationship. Acting this way can make our family stronger. For me, I have learned that responsibility and caring are an important part of making family work. So is having fun together. I know that getting my stuff done and maybe helping out a little extra makes sure that I can go play video games or hang out with my friends or do what I want. Right now, in this pandemic, we spend a lot of time with our family, and there are times we might like it or there are times we might not. As we are returning to school and work in person, we have to remember the lessons we have learned about the importance of family. Family affects everyone. It changes who you are, and it helps shape who you are as a person and who you want to become. Even when I have moved out of my house, my family will be a light when things get tough, when I am lonely and just want to talk. When I'm an adult and creating my own family, a family of my own, I'll remember what families can build together when they support each other, are responsible, and care for one another. I have no more trips around the world planned right now, but I still have my family. Even if we are not hanging out with elephants in Thailand, we still know how the power of teamwork and communication can help us in positive ways and get things done. We have to stay away from the arrogance of the people of Babel and not use this power of family for bad things. In this difficult moment in the world, we must remember how important family is in our lives.
Would you join your brother up here as we all get ready to begin to show our appreciation to you for all your hard work, both of you. Your time, your effort, your energy are deeply appreciated. Your words of Torah and wisdom. Isaac, where are you going? Don't leave. You have to hear this. You got to get this too. Are sweet to us, and so we're going to share some sweetness with you.
gently and lovingly, please toss that sweetness their way. We all say Mazel Tov. Like I said, that's just the start of us showing our appreciation to you. They'll come in all kinds of shapes and forms. The next one comes from your Temple Micah community, and representing all of us are Kirsten Miller and Kate Kistner, who also taught you in our Mitzvah program. And so they're going to present a couple things to you on behalf of all of us to say Mazel Tov.
All right. Are you coming up here? Okay. Anyway, first of all, Mazel Tov, you both should be very proud of the work you've done to get here today. And I know we're grateful to have the opportunity to be here in person to celebrate with you and to represent Temple Micah. As Rabbi Mo said, we've gotten to know Anna and Isaac through Temple Micah's Mishpacha program, where we taught them for the last 2 years. And getting to know them has been a real treat. The fact that they're both really fun and interesting people, both of whom like D&D, made that all the more sweet and fun. So in Mishpacha, I always considered Anna to be the class nonsense detector. Whenever we delve into a part of a story or into a concept that was problematic or outdated or seemed far-fetched, I would typically look over to Anna's face, which usually told me exactly what she thought about the situation. And it was never long before she said those thoughts out loud. And my point in saying this is that I really appreciate that you don't just believe the things that are told to you without thinking them through first and asking a lot of questions. And I appreciate that you don't let things slide that you find to be unjust or illogical. This is a trait that I know from experience can sometimes land you in hot water, but it's also one that I don't think you should change for anything, and I think will take you far.
Isaac, in class, I always enjoyed you immensely because when you didn't agree with something, your perspective was a bit different from your sister's. You often would get a grin on your face, and I knew that I was in for a perspective I had not considered and that we were all about to laugh. Some people might call you the class clown, and I would say that they are short-sighted, because what I saw from you is in class, you would always consider everyone's perspective, and you deeply cared about what we were talking about, even if you were changing the mood of the classroom to give us a laugh. I think that what you brought to our classroom was joy, and that is something that is incalculably valuable. So I hope that you will also keep that trait moving forward.
And
So
now I suppose we present you with these.
So we present you with these, and thank you for enriching our class, both intellectually and spiritually.
So we've got almost a whole Shabbat service of the B'nai Mitzvah of twins, where the Torah portion is about Noah and the ark, and no one has talked about the animals going on 2 at a time in pairs. We missed that. I totally I try to, the song I like to sing in Mishpacha, the Rise and Shine. I totally try to work a verse with you guys. The Isaac and Anna, they doozies out. Yeah, I couldn't come up with it, so I'm not going to sing. Sorry. But as I thought about my experience that I got to have with you, about working towards today, getting to know you, and working through your Torah, the thing that struck me was, I think Mom and Dad said they've always been very mindful not to talk to you, not to think of you just as twins and get you lost in that identity. But you have taught me so much because of your twinness, but also your individuality in that twinness. Because the Torah, what's happening in your Torah, it's just so fascinating. The story Anna wrote from that Anna read about Noah is about a society, a world in which they forgot about each one another's differentness and diversity, and they didn't respect it, and they were awful toward each other, and that world had to end. Isaac's story, the one that you told about the Tower of Babel, is the opposite. Is they got so caught up in all they were as one that they worshiped that completely. And the Torah portion is a tension, a dynamic, wonderful, creative tension between diversity and unity. What's the good part of diversity, the good part of unity, the challenging part of diversity, the challenging part of unity. And when I think about that, being twins, you know what? The foundation of everything in our world is relationship. It's how we relate to another human being. And you guys were living Torah to that to me. Because we had to figure out, how do we craft a service here, an experience for you that both celebrates and acknowledges that there's two doing it as one, but that there are each ones within that two. We had to have the best of diversity and respecting that, but also figure out how to be as one. And that's what we try to do in the world. That's what we try to create within every relationship, whether that's one-on-one, whether that's in families, whether that's in communities. When we do that at our best, we are at our best. And we forget, though, and have the dark side of those things. And we are so unified and one that we forget the specialness in being different. Or the other part of that, we are so much focused on our needs and individual special pieces, but we don't know how to be together. And you guys, you lived that, you showed that for me. Because everyone who has come to know you and expressed so eloquently this morning, you are so different. The nature and spirits of your soul are so different. Even how you just physically stood up here today. As I've remarked all through rehearsals and practicing, even the way you physically inhabit space and express yourself comes across as differently. And that just leads to so many ways that you are each special and contribute. But then you are this one as well. So as you become adults today, I think that's, in a way, the core of what we need to do and try to do as an adult. As we go out in the world, we go out and we try to figure out, okay, what is it about me that makes me special, that makes me unique? To have awareness of that, confidence of that, then also to go out in the world and realize that as special as I am no more special than anybody else. I am still part of that one whole thing. That's as mature adults, we all try to navigate and manage that, to have healthy relationships, healthy families, healthy communities. So as you guys take these steps today, that is my prayer and hope for you, that you remember the wonderful diversity in your Torah portion. You also remember the wonderful unity in your Torah portion, which is exemplified and alive in the wonderful unity of your twinness. which is also exemplified alive in the wonderful diversity of who each of you are within that relationship too. Thank you for teaching me more about Noah and the ark, more about Babel, and more about this very fundamental piece about being human and living and loving. Thanks, guys. So in addition to the words of Torah you taught me, I get to say some words of Torah to you. They're the words of the priestly benediction, and I get to ask God's blessing on you. So would you all please join me up here as we open the ark? Would you all please rise as I get to bless Isaac and Anna? Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May the light of God always shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And may that light shine so bright that you know in your heart, in your home, and in your world, the most precious blessing of all: wholeness, integrity, and peace. I'll give you a hug. The modern day hug. There we go. So now we're ready to begin our concluding prayers, everyone. If you can follow David Ross, he'll begin this with our Aleinu, which is a call and response. Aleinu kind of helps us wrap up and send us out along our way. So just follow him along. Ki Adonai Hu Elohim V'Hashevota Elevavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim Haya Adonai Lemelech Kol Haaretz Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad Ushemo Echad. Would you please remain standing and turn to page 294? There you'll find the words of Mourner's Cottage that we'll recite in a moment after we take a moment to acknowledge those who have died and who we're missing this Shabbat. First, we'll start with those who Anna and Isaac and their family may be thinking of as you all gather for this special occasion. Mildred and Sam Sterling, Bertha and Sam Hauser, Myron Hauser, Marvin Nebrat, Martin Flug, Robert Flug, Sam and Evelyn Flug, Jean and Florence Reed, and Arden Reed. We also offer our condolences to people in the Michael community who have had recent deaths and for whom they are observing Shloshim, that first period of mourning. We mentioned John Spielman, father of Andy Spielman, Alex Jacobson, who was the husband of Norma Jill Jacobson, and Belva McIntosh, the mother of Gary McIntosh. In addition to those, if there's anyone else who you are thinking of this morning, doesn't matter what is the reason that their memory is called to mind. If you'd like to, please, out there on YouTube or Zoom in the chat or here in person, please mention the names of anyone who you're remembering this morning. We join together, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach hirutei v'yomlich malchutei v'chayachonu v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh v'yitalal v'shemei dekudashah b'richu v'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And as we all, in our own way, miss our loved ones, may their spirit and the love we felt for them still be part of us and our lives. And may that presence of that love give us strength and comfort. And let us share that strength and comfort with each other too, as we all say, amen. Please be seated, except for Keith and Isaac and Anna and Fran and Sonia. Come on up together as we'll begin our wrapping up. You can find, is it the program of the words? One day? No.
Okay.
Okay, but online you can find the one-day words because they're out there. We begin our wrap up or continue our wrapping up with Matthew Chapman, the Jewish radio artist song One Day.
Times I lay under, I thank God I'm breathing. And I pray, don't take me soon. I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. When I make it to the tea surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will say one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Day this all will change, people will say, stop with the fighting, stop with the hate. They will all be free and proud to be under the same song, singing songs of freedom like one day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day. It's all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will say one day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day.
I'd like to invite Sarah Terry, who has a poem to share with us that will wrap up.
Well, if I can read this. Anna and Isaac, I love that I'm your honorary aunt. They're back here? Okay. I love being your honorary aunt, and Sonia, you as well. Thank you for bringing me into your family. This is a poem by the American poet William Stafford. It says, you reading this, be ready. And as I'm watched your faith today in your practice, I know that your faith has called you to be ready. And I know that your faith and your family and your friends will help you have all that you need to be ready. So I'm offering you this poem as my blessing to you on such an important day in your lives. Starting here, what do you want to remember? How sunlight creeps along a shining floor? What scent of old wood hovers? What softened sound from outside fills the air? Will you ever bring a better gift for the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go right now? Are you waiting for time to show you some better thoughts? When you turn around, starting here, lift this new glimpse that you found. Carry into evening all that you want from this day. This interval you spent reading or hearing this, keep it for life. What can anyone give you greater than now, starting here, right in this room, when you turn around?
So before we finish with our blessings, we have a special presentation.
Yes, we do. Pete? Mike's here.
So Anna and Isaac have often asked one question of their mom and me. They know now what's in here, but I'll share one last little story as I give these to you. When we were traveling, they've mentioned this trip, we had to carry their birth certificates with them. They've never known who was older. We've never had a middle child. So our gift to you today is that you will finally get the answer to that question that has plagued you for 13 years.
Yay!
So Isaac and Anna, those are your birth certificates.
Before we open, who speaks? No, just kidding. You have to figure it out.
No, he's older.
Okay.
By 3 minutes. By 3 minutes, guys. I'm experienced.
All right. With that, with the older and younger sibling, please take the Kiddush cups. Older one first.
Oh boy, that could have been me.
And we remind ourselves of the holiness of today. We say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hakol.
No thanks.
It's just membership.
I will grab the challah. Okay. We're grateful for all of our abundance that we'll share today. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lehem haaretz. Amen.
Yay!
Lastly, just an expression of gratitude that we are alive and here at this moment to share in this experience. Sheffield. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehagianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehagianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. right, we have one more mazel tov to say. We're gonna go through some candy with Isaac and Anna's class. So if you all make your way outside to the front, I'm off you. And we say mazel tov, Shabbat shalom again.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat. You guys wait. Wait, so everybody, you guys go outside first. Shabbat.
Shabbat, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat.
Hello. We'll come back in and clean up. Chloe, when you go out and get some more candy, just leave everything. Clean up.
You're born at 1:04 p.m. You're born at 1:44. No.
Thank you, David.
No. We were older. It's so mad. No. Wait. Oh, wait. Check here. That's your first. Go all the way back here. You were the child right after me in the state of Colorado. There's no child born in Colorado between me and Anna. Unless there'd be a different number right here. I'm 29, she's 30.